Shakespeare cancelled, Easter cancelled, and there's a transphobic toddler at large. Welcome to Grey Matters Extra. Hello, and welcome to our first episode of Grey Matters Extra, looking at some of the wider social and political issues that have been in the news lately. Now, can you believe it, but our beloved William Shakespeare is being accused of fostering, wait for this, white supremacy and colonialism. Who are the snowflakes pushing this narrative? Is it some virtue signalling university? Maybe it's the Culture Secretary, Lisa Nandy. Well, it isn't either. The identity of the real culprit is, I think, quite shocking. The organisation pushing this agenda is actually the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust, and they intend to decolonise Stratford-upon-Avon, the museum, his manuscripts and exhibitions. In fact, everything that marks him out as being the world's greatest ever playwright and writer. And that is disgusting, considering that one of his most famous and most widely portrayed characters, Othello, is black. Bear in mind too that Shakespeare was simply writing about the times in which he lived, and historical events, many of which took place long before he was born. So how can he be accused of white supremacy? It's beyond me. For most of his life, he was a struggling actor, and he faced persecution from the church, who believed that actors were heretics. It was only by managing to get the protection of the Lord Chamberlain that he and other actors survived. Sadly, with so many once respected organisations such as the National Trust and NHS subscribing to this dreadful DEI ideology, I can't see how this abomination of cultural destruction can be stopped, can you? And while we're cancelling everything, I'm sure by now you will have heard the story about Norwood Primary School in Hampshire that has allegedly cancelled Easter. And with Easter upon us, it seems only right that we should comment on it, because if you believe everything that the media and social media are reporting, it would appear that the school has joined the state's insidious campaign to cancel Christianity at all levels. In London, for example, there were no Christmas lights, but winter festival lights instead, even though the city was recently festooned with Happy Ramadan lights. There was a winter festival market where traders were ordered not to mention the word Christmas. Lay preachers have been threatened with arrest for reading from the Bible in town centres. And we've heard about people being arrested for silently praying, and about Christian employees being prohibited from wearing crucifixes, whilst employees from other faiths are not subjected to similar restrictions. And now, according to widespread reports, Norwood Primary School has cancelled Easter, arguably the most important date in the Christian calendar, even more so than Christmas. But it's not as clear-cut as the outpouring of indignation would suggest. In a letter to parents, the school says it aims to foster a spirit of inclusivity and respect for the diverse religions and beliefs in its school. Now, my first reaction to this was that, as they've already held assemblies for Eid, Diwali, Ramadan and Hanukkah, that respect doesn't extend to Christianity too. And my view was, and still is, that the children should be taught to respect and celebrate the special dates within all faiths. Now, interestingly, the letter sent out to parents stated that by not holding specific religious celebrations, we aim to create a more inclusive atmosphere that honours and respects the beliefs of all our children and their families. So I thought, just a minute, how is that possible? It appears the school is trying to achieve the impossible. They intend to honour and respect the beliefs of all their children and their families by ignoring those beliefs and cancelling the celebrations within the school. So how the heck does that work? Well, the only way to find out is to contact the school directly and ask, and thankfully that's what the BBC did. A spokesperson for the school has said, to be clear, we are marking Easter in our school, And with other religious festivals, the schools continue to learn about and celebrate Easter both educationally and in our assemblies. So that's fantastic news, and it just shows how the media can grab onto one bit and just blow it out of proportion. Basically nothing has changed at the school except for a couple of events that have been cancelled. See, some criticism has got to remain because they have, as widely reported, cancelled the Easter Bonnet Parade, which I understand is a long-standing tradition at the school. Now, are they honestly suggesting that kids from other faiths at the school wouldn't love to make colourful hats too, irrespective of what the celebration is for? And they've also cancelled the church service. Well, having sat through a service for a faith other than mine, I kind of had some sympathy for that decision. However, instead of cancelling the Easter service, why not make it part of the curriculum that they take the pupils to local religious centres, such as the local mosque or synagogue, at the relevant times of year, for them to experience those faiths firsthand too. If they want to be a truly inclusive school by teaching the history and significance of all faith-based celebrations, then rather than cancel events, expand them, do some field trips, and truly celebrate all the faiths represented at that school. And finally, can you believe it? Yes, actually. I'm sure you will have heard about this story too. A 3-year-old toddler has been excluded from his nursery school for being transphobic. Yes. Beggars belief, doesn't it? As a father of 3 and a grandfather of 5, I can categorically state that the chances of a 3-year-old toddler being transphobic are nil. At that age, they're still learning about the world around them, what things are, how things taste and smell, what hurts, what feels hard, what feels soft, and so on. And that includes what people look like. Now, I can almost guarantee that most parents of white children will have experienced that cringe-making moment when their little darling sees a black person for the first time and asks in a very loud voice, "Mummy, why is that man's face dirty?" Mum wishes the floor would open up, and the black person usually laughs it off. The kid isn't being racist. It's learning about the world around it based on what it's experienced so far in its very short time on this earth. And as for the 3-year-old in the news story, what was his heinous crime of transphobia? Well, I understand he asked his teacher, "Sir, why are you wearing a dress?" Using whatever phraseology that a 3-year-old would use, but that was the meat of it. No transphobia, just innocent curiosity. And if the person who complained and reported this as a transphobic incident is so oversensitive that they couldn't see that, then they have no right to be working in that kind of environment. I'm sure you're going to have plenty to say about the topics in today's show, so do drop them in below. If you enjoyed this new Grey Matters Extra, then please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and the bell to ensure you don't miss out on future episodes of Grey Matters and Grey Matters Extra. That's it for now. Until the next time, thank you for joining us, and it's bye for now.